Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Sunday. It's Daryl here. It's not so bright and early anymore. It's about 9 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast, and I am very excited right now. My hands are almost shaking. I've been thinking about doing this video for months now, and everything has come together, and the weather's just right. Everything with Halloween coming up, the foliage is at peak and everything, and I came across the articles today, and everything just fell in place. So I'm going to make this video today. This is probably going to be the intro. So I'm about ready to leave my house. I'm going to leave here by 9 a.m. I should arrive at my destination by 9:30 or so, and I'm going to make some videos. And I am going to be filming. I'm going to bring you guys to where I grew up. It's a state park, Black Rock State Park in Connecticut. It's a very old town, incorporated in 1780. There's houses going back to the early 1700s, late 1600s. I grew up from 1970 to 1980. I lived in this house, and it's in a remote section. My father was the park ranger, the game warden. He ran the entire park, Black Rock State Park, and we lived in the park ranger's house, and it was a very old house. I remember the mantle had a fireplace and a big stone in the middle, and it said, I believe it was 1879. And it was a very old house. It had a boulder and mortar cellar, like it was made out of big giant rocks. And there was a trap door. And that was the only way to get down in my bedroom, to get down to the cellar, to this dungeon in the cellar. It was all pine floors. Like I said, it had a big fireplace, all wood. It was old, a very old house. And the whole time I lived there, we lived from there from 1970 to 1980. My father died in 1975 after we moved there for 5 years. And eventually we had to move out because he was no longer the park ranger. And I had nightmares. I still have nightmares about this house. I told my parents back when I lived there. There was just night after night when I couldn't stay awake in grade school, because I had been awake all night. My bedroom was at one end of the house, and my parents' and my sister's bedroom was at the other end of the house. In this old spooky house, there's no neighbors for miles, no street lights. It's in the middle of the forest. And the nearest brook is called Purgatory Brook. It's a creepy spot. And I would lay awake night after night. I would swear that I'd see figures and shadows moving in the kitchen right outside my bedroom door. And I have nightmares, like I said, to this day. My mother didn't tell me until almost, I don't know, it was maybe 20 years ago, around the time I was about 40 years old, when I got clean and sober. She finally told me that there had been a murder. The body was dumped, and I'll tell you about that murder when I get there. The body was dumped right in our driveway the year before we moved there. I'm gonna have links down below. There's records of tourists being in this park and hearing a woman screaming for help, and they didn't know. Like I said, the links will be down below. So it's called Haunted Connecticut, and they didn't know that all this had occurred right in my driveway. I'm gonna take you guys right to the location. Like I said, my mother didn't tell me this until years later, and I was like, don't you think it was relevant, that I was spooked, I was having nightmares, I couldn't sleep, that you might mention it to me? She had no response to that. But now I found this article from the Hartford Courant from March 1969 of the actual murder and the arrest of the boyfriend for stabbing his ex-girlfriend to death and dumping her body in my future home. We moved in 1 year, not even 1 year later after this. And on top of that, I managed to download an app, a ghost hunting app. And I'm almost too scared to even use this, man. My hands are shaking. I almost don't want to use it. It's called Solomon's app, I think it's called. And I've got it to work while I could do a video. I got it to run. So I'm gonna run this Solomon's app, and I really got second thoughts about doing this, because I'm gonna be terrified if something answers back. So that's what I got lined up for today. Like I said, everything came together. I found this article from the Hartford Courant of the actual what happened there. I found this app, and I just happened to be heading out to that town this morning anyway, to go into my sister's house, and I'm going right by the park. And the day, the time of year, the rainy, spooky day, man, it's all come together. Let's see what happens. I'm on my way out the door. I'll see you there. Okay, so here we are at the park. This is where I grew up. This is Black Rock State Park. My heart is pounding. I was thinking of excuses, any excuse to just drive by here and not do this video. Here it is. This is the lake here. There's a lake. This, like I said, this was my backyard. It was beautiful on snow days. We would come here and ice skate. I had this whole place to myself. My dad was the park ranger here. There's the lake behind me. It's pretty creepy here today. I'm gonna walk over to where my house was. It's the park ranger's house. Like I said, I moved here. My family moved here in 1970 when I was almost 5 years old. My dad was chosen to become park ranger here, and it was the state house, the park ranger's house that we moved into. And he ran this whole place. He was also a game warden here. I remember him going on patrols to check people's hunting licenses and fishing licenses. And I remember actually going with him on dirt roads, patrols sometimes. My heart is pounding. I remember playing this, like I said, I played here. There was actually one other boy that lived up there. There's one house there about a half mile away from my house, or where my house was, and he was a year younger than me, and he was the only soul that I had as a friend here. I remember that rock over there from 50 years ago. So, like I said, we moved here in 1970, and the house where I'm going over to now, the house has been torn down. The whole area is still there, and it was an old house. I remember the fireplace. There was a number, the year on the main key rock, the key stone in the fireplace. It said, I believe it was 1879. So it was over 100 years old when I moved there, when I was 5 years old. My dad died when I was 9. And it had a stone basement, stone and mortar, not like blocks or anything like that, or like a cement foundation, not like nowadays. It was boulders and stones and mortar. It looked like a dungeon. And there was a trap door in my bedroom. I was a 10-year-old boy with a trap door in the bedroom, like a 6x4 trap door, and it would go down into this dungeon in my room. And that's how, like, my mother would open it up, and that's where the washer and dryer were. So she would just open it up there and take the laundry down through the trap door in my bedroom downstairs. And my father's whole gun collection was down there. I remember laying awake in this house many nights, just terrified. Like I said, my bedroom was at one end, and my parents' and sister's bedroom was at the other end. And I remember lying awake, and I could swear I could see like a shadow in the kitchen right in front of my bedroom door. And I would just sit there for hours. My muscles were sore the next day in school. I'd be falling asleep because I'd be awake all night, just like frozen, like, thinking that, I could see this shadow in front of my door. So I had nightmares for years. I've had them still about this house, terrible nightmares. Just that there was some dark entity. And eventually my mother told me what happened, that there was a murder in 1969, right over here where I'm going to take you to. And a guy took his girlfriend. Let's see. Here's 18-year-old Donald Ray took his girlfriend, and they parked right over there where I'm going to take you. And they had broken up about a month before. The article's down below, so you could read it yourselves. And apparently he stabbed her with a Boy Scout knife, a folding Boy Scout knife, and dumped her body over a snowbank. And the cops found him. They were both the kids were out late. The girl was Linda Morrow, 17 years old, and the parents were looking for them. This is what it says in the article. And they ended up pulling over the boy that night, and he admitted to killing the girlfriend, and he brought the cops there that night, so he was caught immediately. And I didn't know about this. My family didn't tell me this until years later. And I was so angry. I was like, don't you think that was relevant? You know, that I was so scared and terrified for years in this place. I used to tell them, you know, there's a ghost here. There's something wrong here. And they never told me this story. Down below, you're going to find links to people that didn't know about this whole story until after. And they're hiking. I see people hiking right over there now and fishing. And they would hear a woman screaming for help in this area. And they didn't know about, you know, what happened here until later. Like I said, the link will be down below in Haunted Watertown. So we're walking up here now. I'm probably going to switch the camera around. So hold on a second. Okay, I'm back. It's kind of hard to do this holding an umbrella and it's raining, so I'm coming up to where my house was here. Like I said, it's that over there, you'll see. Here's the driveway. This right here is supposedly where the body was dumped. If you read the article, it says between the lake over there and the driveway over here. And there's a snowbank, and there was a snowbank here, and he dumped her down there in the swamp. Right smack here was where Linda Morrow's body was, where she was killed, right over there in the parking space. And apparently he backed up over here and dumped her body right there. I got to tell you guys, my heart is pounding right now. Mattituck Barn. This is my yard. This was my yard here. My house was right in between me and that white building. That's where it used to be. That white building is a maintenance barn. That's where my father was, like, he ran the other employees. He was the boss. And there was all the state trucks and everything behind, in the garage behind that building. Right here was where our front walk was. And this patch of ground is right where my bedroom was, or my house was, right here. The front door would have been right here. There's these tall pines, incredibly tall pines that are still here. They got to be about 80 feet tall. And I used to build forts over here in between. I build forts in these trees. Right where I'm standing, right smack here, is where my bedroom would have been. Like I said, and that's where my father worked, in the barn, in the maintenance barn behind our house right there. And there's the road in front. That would have been our walk in front. There's the driveway. And right over here is where the murder took place. And the body was dumped. Okay, now this is going to get interesting. I'm going to switch over to Solomon's app, and I don't know if it's going to work or not. If you don't see anything after this, that means it didn't work, or I chickened out. But I'm going to try using this app and see if there's still spirits here. Let's give it a try. Okay, I'm here. I have the spirit app turned on, and we're going to see if we could talk to Linda Morrow or any other spirit. I've never done this before. I hope nothing answers. You guys let me know if you hear anything. It's got a background of some different radio frequencies. Can I speak to any spirits that are here? I don't mean any harm or disrespect. If there's any spirits here, the spirit of Linda Morrow, please say yes. Are there any spirits here?
Yeah.
That was a yeah. Could you say that again? If there's any spirits here, please say yes. Linda Morrow, were you murdered here in this area? Linda Morrow, spirit of Linda Morrow. Can you hear me?
Oh.
Is there any spirits here? I don't mean any harm or
No,
disrespect.
I didn't.
Please say yes. Oh. What? Oh my God! I heard. I heard somebody said something behind me.
No.
All right. Okay, I'm back. You guys will have to go through that. I didn't hear anything in particular. To be honest with you, I'm terrified to try to use that app. I'm glad that I didn't hear anything, because if I did hear something, I'd be terrified that it's going to follow me from here on out. I mean, I do believe, I was just watching a History Channel yesterday, and they were showing hauntings from Gettysburg, where the war took place, and there was actually film, video that tourists captured, and it's this incredible video of what looks like white, like partial bodies of soldiers walking by in the forest. You could actually see like partial misty figures. I believe that was on the History Channel, haunted history. I do believe in this stuff. I do believe there's so much we don't know, where their spirit goes after. Like I said, here's where the road goes up. It was in the middle of nowhere. My father died in 1975 of terminal brain cancer. And right where I'm standing here, I remember standing here when my father would go into convulsions. They would send me out of the house so I didn't have to see it, and they called the ambulance. And I remember standing right in this very spot, watching the ambulance pull up in the driveway. We lived here for 5 years after my father passed away. And like I said, there's no streetlights here. You know, there's the nearest house is about a half mile away, where I said my friend lived there. And then the other house is about a mile up that road. It was a creepy place to grow up. The links will be down below, where you could see the actual, from the Hartford Courant, March 1969, when Linda Moreau was murdered, right here, where I'm standing. Was that over 50 years ago? So, check it out. I got to get going. I got so much more to do today. I'm on my way to my sister's house to check out her new camper. Maybe I'll do a video of that. All right, I'll see you guys later.